that militant, that diligent, that true spiritual soldier, that SOUL-ger, that soldier. Really how you gotta move in this life. I'm at the point where I don't have those energies to burn, those vital reserves to burn, spending them in that pain energy. I love to serve, I love to be, I love to evolve. It's all a beautiful, joyful process when you really realize how much of an idiot you've been, how much you could have been, and how much you could have become, how much you could have even acquired and obtained in this life if you hadn't been such a blundering idiot for so long. And then once you truly align with the truth, once you truly find the truth, they'll try to say things like, there is no truth. They'll try to say things like, oh, everything is subjective. No, you have a subjective experience. And we can just all look at the basic fact that there's something called opinions and there's something called facts. Listen, whatever you are, your world is yours. That spiritual, diligent, militant, on point, superior conducting individual, that mindset that is locked in, that is zip tight, that doesn't even desire an excuse, is what you all really want in this life. I get to this point. You look around, man. I love y'all. These videos are gonna end up changing a lot, but I don't have it in me to be sharking people and calling them bitches. I don't got that. That's not my body. That's not my energy. My energy is like, yo, listen, I wake up in the morning. Most people have this dreadful energy towards their existence. And it's like, in what world do you allow yourself to be less? In what world do you allow yourself to even think twice about becoming what is necessary? I remember back in the days when I was coming up and I was learning these spiritual laws and I was learning higher wisdoms and things like that, still trying to seek the answers, but really subconsciously seeking a shortcut, right? A way that I can exploit the universe. When you realize the more you attempt to exploit the universe, the more you attempt to exploit anything, the more you're going to end up being exploited by yourself, right? Whatever you are, your world is yours. So the switch happens when you finally decide, okay, I'm not going to try to be less and get more. I'm going to be and become more, irrespective of if I get more in this life. Simply for the sake and the fact of existing as the higher state of being. Spiritual, militant, diligent. All of these spiritual individuals, they claim that they're spiritual or some shit, but to be spiritual and not to be an embodiment on the material is really a piece of shit type of mindset. You feel me? I remember being all heady, being all mind, being all soul, and not having no body. But at the same time, every time I used to smoke, there used to be a voice in my head that'd be like, yo, bro, you got to get in shape. You got level 1 body status. Or being in the awareness that, as people have told me before, very condescending. Yes, I operate from a different spectrum in the chakras. But at the same time, you have to highlight, zone in on your areas of deficit, your areas of weakness, your areas of least strength to actually become something in this life. As I make this video, I'm like watching myself from outside myself, and I'm like, yo, bro, you gotta be like blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, you don't have to be blah, 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 blah. That's where most people get it fucked up. Most people get it fucked up because fundamentally, the human mind doesn't appreciate having an external force being the governing faculty of its resources, of its energies. What that means is every human, the basic desire is freedom. So if you have an external force, this is why most people rebel against quote unquote religion, even though they're not rebelling against religion, they're just rebelling against dogmaticism. I just took you 10 steps ahead of my own plan for unfoldment. Most people, when they have parents and there are rules there, people just become rebels for the simple cause of preserving their identity of self-autonomy or some shit, even to their own detriment. And that's what you have to recognize. So, whatever you are, your world is yours. I cannot go about this shit in a way that's blah, blah, blah. No, because you have to naturally have the joy that is associated with you becoming and existing as what you were designed to exist as. Or in the least, it begins with recognizing how much you're causing yourself unnecessary suffering by trying to bypass the spiritual requisites, the conductoral requisites to obtain exactly what you desire in this life. Everything that you want in this life is 100% obtainable, 100% there for you to have, 100% there meant and designed for you to have. There's no reason that you're having these visions to be sober, to be fit, to be enlightened, to be rich. Now, people always try to get on me with this sober shit. Listen, you're not going to tell me and justify any reason that I can actually take on that's going to be like, yeah, you should just start getting high. Like, there's no reason for that. No reason for me to harm my body. There's no reason for me to not be in shape. You cannot justify being less. You cannot justify not having wisdom and knowledge. You cannot justify being less. You cannot justify being broke. You cannot justify being less. Why your world is yours. So we get to this point. You have to truly look at your life and realize how much you're allowing it to be poor. Straight up. Spiritual, diligent, and militant. Yeah, we're spiritual. Yeah, we have the higher awareness, but we live up to the principles. We don't just think these things. We don't just keep them in our minds and assume some level of intellectual superiority and walk around the world feeling like we're the shit because we know about some crystals or some dumb shit like most of these bitch-ass motherfuckers. Feel me? We really live the embodiment of the values because, not because of any, as I mentioned in the Advancing Individual, extrinsically motivating factors. No, not at all. Because of the intrinsic value of itself. To know and to not be is to not know, motherfucker. You just another motherfucking theory. At a certain point, you gotta recognize how much of a hypocrite you are, how much of an entitled fuck you are, and how much you're simply feeling like the world owes you something. You owe you so much more than you've been giving yourself. And you need to start treating yourself way better than you've been treating yourself. Lastly, like I said, spiritual, diligent, militant. Gotta have the physique. Gotta have the mindset. Gotta have the discipline. Gotta have the heart. And finally, have to have the conduct. We live in a new day and age. It's not sufficient to be just another motherfucking crude creature on this planet, belligerent as fuck. And it's no longer sufficient to walk around with all this quote-unquote knowledge, but being an obvious reflection of a lack of application. We are entering the range of full spectrum energetic embodiment. There are avatars and beings like myself who are currently on this planet who have a primary base of resonance, mine being the crown chakra, others being maybe the heart chakra, the sacral chakra, others being the root chakra. But nobody is simply staying inside of their zone of preferred energetic resonance anymore. We're all mastering all 7 bands of the frequency. Whatever you are, your world is yours. Get yourself on the program. Stop wasting your existence. And allow yourself to become what you're meant to become. And realize the joy that is existing as you ought to exist. I'm not going to sit back and burn my energy up because I'm not an angry person. I'm not a irritated or agitated person. I'm very calm. I'm very stoic. I'm very tranquil. The reason that y'all have so much friction, most of you, when it comes to being what you should be, is because when it's time to make the action, you see yourself through the eyes of other people and what that would mean, and you let that little indignant part of yourself make the decision to exercise its freedom by not being what you're supposed to be, and you fail to recognize that you only hurt yourself. When you truly have the intrinsic motivation, you actually don't give a fuck about anybody else. And once you have the advancing ego, you actually don't give a fuck about anybody else. You actually do it for yourself because it is actually in your best interest. YWY, your world is yours. Consider the vibrations raised. We still in Cairo. We still got a lot of missions to do. You know, soon you're gonna see the backdrop change again. But no matter where you are, there you are. If you self-sabotage anywhere, you're gonna self-sabotage everywhere. If you let yourself be less anywhere, you're gonna let yourself be less anywhere and everywhere. If you live like a slave anywhere, you're gonna live like a slave everywhere. If you miss anywhere, you're gonna miss everywhere. Evolution, only solution. Superior conduct, only answer. Evolution and superior conduct are literally the only ways to live this life. Anything less is everything less. Whatever you, why your world is yours, consider the vibrations raised. I done laid out the blueprint. I done demonstrated the conduct. I done showed y'all that I never miss. And I showed y'all what happens when you don't miss and what you become over time. And you have to realize what you've shown us, what happens when you do miss, when you do sabotage over time. You become a lower rendition of an individual that we would never want to be like, because if we thought like you and conducted ourselves like you, we would end up like you. And you don't even like the state of existence that you exist in. But for some reason, you fail to want to pay the price that is superior conduct, which is the cheapest thing that you could do, because everything else will waste your time, waste your energy, and get you no results. Whatever, why your world is yours, consider the vibrations.